association with Inside Business Africa and Nathan from David Consulting. Inside Business Africa, if I may just let you into some of the importance of this particular brand. Inside Business Africa came about in 1995 as a brand that was supposed to actually promote foreign direct investment and bring about development in the Nigerian economy. The publication reports financial news, information that grow organizations and national economy. And since 1995, this particular publication has built capacity and built relationship across board, from manufacturing, FMCG, to pharmaceuticals, to banking, finance, insurance, and what have you. For me, this is an honor to be presenting this particular event today because in 1995, I was also the pioneer presenter of Inside Business Africa on NTA2 Channel 5. And today, Inside Business Africa remains the most watched and the most preferred brands, which has also won several awards from Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and also from NTA and amongst other broadcast regulatory agencies and institutions. Today, Inside Business Africa remains the leading brand in terms of reportage, covering all the financial institutions and business. My name is Kenneth Odushola Stevenson, and I'm here today to present to you a very important revelation. I will call it because we're going to be revealing the 60 Nigerian brands. These brands are the brands that are able to make the list of over 1,000 that came through us in terms of nominations and letters that were sent out for people to nominate. We are quite glad today that today has come, and we are going to reveal the 60 brands that made it to the finalist today. And these brands will be rewarded for their outstanding performance in the corporate Nigeria. And many of them are corporate entities, and some of them are products. For Inside Business Africa, over thousands, hundreds of thousands of industries, corporate leaders had featured on the television aspect of the brand. And on the print aspect of the brand, we also had marvelous, very important, and most importantly, corporate leaders featured on the publication. We're quite delighted today that we are going to be doing, this is what we do almost every year anyway, rewarding excellence and also the performance in the corporate world. Revealing the unveiling of the 60 brands is in commemoration of the Nigeria at 60. We are all aware, and we were all celebrating on the 1st of October in 1960, Nigeria gained independence, a lot of enthusiasm and so many things. And also we will remember that many brands were in place before then, the likes of UAC, Leventis, UTC, and the rest, the Bosins and all of that. There were brands that dominated the Nigerian corporate space at that time. But things has changed because over time, we have seen new brands come aboard and have taken over the corporate space. The likes of Dangote Group, for instance. Yes, it's been around, but it metamorphosed into something today that became an African brand and global brand. Also, if you remember, even before this time, we didn't have what you would call, the telecommunications and all of that. We only had Nitel and the rest of these things, and we had to travel to go and make phone calls. But today, we have telecom operators and mobile phone operators, and so many things that evolve over time. And in Nigeria today, we have four corporate players, majorly in the mobile telecom in Nigeria, the likes of Glo, MTN, Airtel, and indeed Nine Mobile. But what is important to us in Inside Business Africa today is to be able to tell the story of some of these brands and how they've been able to succeed against all odds, especially in 2020. Like we know, 2020 has been a year that we will not forget in a hurry The pandemic has changed the narratives in terms of how corporate organization proceeds. And also the pandemic has brought about a new way of doing things. In other words, brands must be up and doing to be able to sustain itself. And therefore, I would like to also say that brands that made it through this list today are brands that stood the test of time despite the pandemic. We're going to mention the 60 of them as the second part of our presentation today. For me, like I said earlier on, is an honor, because what is important about this particular opportunity is the fact that we're able to do a research in collaboration with our consultant, Letter from David Consulting, sent out just thousands of questionnaires to try to see how many companies have been able to sustain these trying times. How many brands have been able to sustain itself? How many corporate organizations have been able to sail above the water? And many of them have come smiling. Yes, challenges present opportunities for others. For instance, the pandemic, like we know, presented opportunity for the medical personnel. It also presented opportunities for the pharmaceutical industry to research into vaccines. So every challenges in the world, we always have one thing or the other to give in terms of opportunities to excel. So these brands are brands that have actually succeeded. And in the PDF version of, or the online version of the copies of the brand report that will be unveiled and also be sent to all the brand winners and everybody that can have access to it, you will see how these organizations, and many of them, were able to swim above waters. Today we have two presenters that are going to talk about the story, and with the title Mind the Gap. All right, we call it Mind the Gap because we know that the challenges of the pandemic brought with it a lot of things. And everyone decided, or every corporate organization decided to mind the gap. You know, when I say mind the gap, I mean that decided to mind the gap because you need to be able to play well to succeed. And when we say mind the gap, we also talked about the big picture. Because you mind the gap, you must also look at the big picture. How do you traverse the gap itself and then move on to the next big picture? And from consulting to association to many other things. We have very distinguished speakers today. And for me, it's an honor most all the time, every single time since we started Inside Business Africa. My first speaker today is a mentor to some of us. And he has always been a godly personality, someone who you can always rely on at all times. Quite resourceful, responsible, and integrity-driven personality. And every time we call on him, sometimes I figure that I keep disturbing him, but I don't have a choice. Because many of such personalities are rare to come back in this country, especially within the corporate world. I'm talking about Mazi Sam Ohabowa, who took over the affairs of Pfizer, and during the transferring of shares and also the mergers and buying out Pfizer in Africa, and indeed in Nigeria, turned it around 360 degrees and made it Nimet International, one of the global brands in Nigeria pharmaceutical industry today. Mazi Sam Ohabowa, like we always know, has been chairman of several NECA, Nigeria Economic Summit Group. So many. His resourcefulness has endeared him to many, and is always being called upon, not only by us, but by thousands of corporate leaders in the world and organizations to deliver lecture. Because he speaks passionately about every subject matter. Every subject matter. Mazi will take you to the cleaners. I'm very proud to be associated with Mazi, and I'm very proud to say he is also my mentor. And for me, I love listening to him, and every time he has ever spoken in our conferences, people will always listen and always ask for more. Mazi Sam Ohabowa, I want to thank you very much for joining us today and for lending your voice to this particular issue of brands closing the gap. Closing the gap, all right, on the big picture. That is brands closing the gap on the big picture. I also have a very passionate personality who is a consultant and outsourcing and resourceful personality. Her name is Mrs. Oyeyinka Banjo. Mrs. Banjo, very amiable personality, someone who believes in resourcefulness, integrity, and also believe in corporate Nigeria. And for her, it's been an honor to always be able to be associated with her. It's an honor because we believe that she has a lot to give to Nigeria in terms of her private business and her openness to issues that can grow organization and the national economy. For us, we are so delighted to have Mrs. Banjo today to lend her voice to this particular subject matter, closing the gap on the big picture, on the brands. And today, we will also be taking comments from several other personalities that will be joining us. Mr. Ray Murphy, from the Managing Director of Mukafon, to be here. We also have the Managing Director of Agritech, who will be joining us all the way from Spain. We also have quite a number of personalities that will be joining us from the UK to discuss this matter of closing the gap on brands, and also as we celebrate Nigeria at 60. Let me use this opportunity to say congratulations to all of us Nigerians for marking the 60th anniversary of Nigeria's nationhood with fanfare. Maybe low-key, but it also came, and we also are happy to be witnessing this. So let me first of all appreciate and be sure that our personalities are here. First, I'd like to confirm that Mrs. Banjo is with us. Mrs. Banjo, if you are with us, could you just acknowledge that by just talking through your, unmute your microphone and let's know you are here. Mrs. Banjo is the Managing Director and the Chief Executive of Westfield Consulting. Mrs. Banjo, I know she's here. Can you please announce your presence?
Hello. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we are so delighted. I know that it's been quite a very hectic period for all of us, but we truly appreciate that you're able to join us for this conversation of the unveiling of the 60 brands. Now, Mazi Sam Ohabuwa, I was speaking with him a couple of minutes ago, and I'm sure he is here with us also. And I know that Mazi will never disappoint any Nigerian when it comes to this particular conversation, especially issues that grow organization and the national economy. Mazi Sam Ohabuwa, you can actually announce your presence, but I know I've spoken with him, and Mazi is going to be speaking very passionately about brands, closing the gap on the big picture. Now, let me just say some house rules. When you have to make comments, I would like to implore you to please just type on the browser there and let us see your comments. You can also raise your hand if you want to make comments, and then we will identify you. And also, but please, when you are also making comments, please do introduce yourself, and also at the end of the episode, do a wrap up at the end of the day. But it's important that we identify and know who we are speaking with, because the new normal has given us this opportunity of visual conversation, and we truly appreciate that. Now, let me call on our first speaker, Mrs. Banjo, Principal Partner and CEO of Westfield Consulting, to speak. Mrs. Banjo, if you are ready, let's go.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me utmost delight to be here today and to partner with Inside Business Africa on the occasion of the celebration of Nigeria at 60. And my task today is very simple. While Inside Business Africa unveils the top 60 super brands, my task this morning is to speak about the imperative of consulting and outsourcing to the economy of Nigeria and any economy for that matter. So I hope everybody can hear me, and Okay, please,
Hey, go ahead. Go
can you
ahead.
enable me to share my screen? I have just about 15 minutes at the most.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay.
Thank you. All right. Today, my task is simple. I want to demystify consulting and outsourcing. You know, in consulting, we speak a lot of big grammar. When people hear consulting, they're like, oh, wow, consulting. These are the Wikipedias, these are the Googles and all of that. Now, let me just make it simple. Consulting is the simple task of seeking counsel, seeking yeah, consulting is a simple task of seeking professional counsel on any decision you want to make, for that matter. Like if you want to get married, what do? You go and consult your parents. So you're consulting your parents in the occasion of your marriage. If you have a legal issue, what do? You go speak to a lawyer. If you have, sorry, permit me to be a bit humorous, spiritual problems, what do? You go consult your pastor or your imam, as the case may be. So what do consultants do? They offer expert advice on services to an organization that is desirous of having such insight into the decision that they want to make. So consulting is pretty simple. We all do consulting on a daily basis. We just don't attach that name consulting to it. So most of the time, everything you want to do, you consult someone. But in the corporate parlance, consulting is you're seeking professional expert advice in order to take a very important decision or use a service or buy a product for your organization. So that in simple parlance is consulting. Now, my second demystification is for outsourcing. Outsourcing is simply when you decide that you need this product or this service and you're not producing it yourself. I'm trying to be very layman. Like I said, I don't want to talk grammar. I don't want to talk strategy. I don't want to talk big management stuff. Let's just make it simple. Now, outsourcing is when you need a product or a service and you have consulted someone else who is an expert at producing that product or that service so that you can use it and solve your own needs for that. So most organizations would normally have need to contract a third-party vendor consultant to handle some of their specific business activities. That is simply outsourcing. Outsourcing plays a very key role in wetting the wheels or oiling the wheels of any economy, because the thing is that we all have different strengths and we all have different capacities and capabilities across individuals, across organizations, across cities, and across nations and continents. A lot of times in the last 20 decades, we saw a lot of global brands moving their production to China. Why do they move it to China? Because China has not just the space, China has what they would call more affordable labor. And China was ready to develop and grow their economy. So they wanted to create mass employment. So all those things that those big countries would normally not want maybe their citizens to do, a country was willing to do it. And China is known for that expertise. So a lot of countries, what did they do? They outsourced their production to China. That is called offshoring. There are different parts of outsourcing. You have offshoring, nearshoring, and offshoring, nearshoring, and onshoring. So I get there. So when you move an aspect of your service or product, in the production of it, you move it to another entity, another country, another city, another continent entirely. You have outsourced that product or that service. Why do you do that? You do that because you want to share your risk. Number one, if anything happens in your country, what happens to your brand? Does your brand just fold up, or is your brand cocooned somewhere else, producing stuff that your organization need, so that even if anything happens in your own country, let's say a force majeure or something, an act of God, you are able to still sustain business to some level Number two, you need faster and quality service. Those are reasons why you outsource, whether nearshoring, onshoring, or offshoring. You need faster and quality service. Some people have the expertise in producing a particular product or service. Remember, we're talking about consulting. So consulting is the act of taking expert counsel, using expert counsel for that service or product you want to make. So what do? What are the reasons why you do that? Why you outsource that part of your business? You want faster and quality service. You want to hire someone now. You want to, maybe you're, let's say you're a manufacturing company, and you want to hire staff. Hiring is not your core business. Yes, you have an HR department. Your HR department is saddled with several other things. In manufacturing, you're saddled with staff welfare, you're saddled with this one is supposed to go on leave now. If this one goes on leave now, it's going to affect production line. So let this one not go. You're saddled juggling so many things. So what does HR do? HR is like, you know what? It is some people's bread and butter every day. It is the air some people breathe in to recruit for organizations. It is their forte. That's what they are known for. All their staff resume every day to recruit. So you know what? In order for me to save time and focus on what I am here to do in my manufacturing industry, let me outsource this recruitment. So you call a consulting company, you seek the advice. I want to recruit a CFO, a CMO, a CTO. So, I mean, they give you the terms of engagement. They either come up with your job profile, your description, and all of that for you, or you already have it, and you bundle that issue to an expert. You are taking that stress off you, and now the expert is giving you feedback and getting you the solution that you need, because you may not have the required time or ample resources within your organization to do it effectively. It gives you flexibility. You know, a lot of times when foreign companies come into a country, they already have a specific cut-off for their headcount. A lot of our outsourcing clients, they are offshore countries. So they have a certain number that they must not exceed. That is in their policy, that is in their plan, that is in their divestment plan and all of that to Nigeria. So what do? So they have this project and they do not have the required number of people to satisfy that project, to make them satisfy their own clients as well. What do? They go to a consulting company that is vast in outsourcing. And so they tell us, we need 100 staff to work on this also project. So you recruit the staff, you deploy them to that project. Now it is very important that outsourcing is giving focus in any economy. We are talking of a concept that reduces unemployment to a very large extent, whether temporarily, and some people, even from being contract or third-party staff, they become full staff. We do that a lot here. Now, a project is you need 200 hands to get the project sorted within 3 months. It is not the headache of that company that got the project to provide all of the staffing, all of the human resource that is needed for that project. So when they go to a consultant, the consultant is the one who then provides the resources, the human resources needed to satisfy that project. And in doing that, the consultant is indirectly managing the project. So you have a wider value chain to that project. You have a wider value chain in that more than the candidate has taken the business, more people are now interested and must ensure the success of that project. While you are doing that, you are creating employment. While you're creating employment, you are spreading funds, you are spreading economies of different people. You are ensuring and enhancing the economies of different families, different people. Remember that every individual is from a family. Also, because it is a contract job, you are able to reduce some overhead costs. If it is timed 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, as the case may be, the company usually, even though we do not advise this, the company would usually want to negotiate on some part of the benefit as against the benefit that is accruable to those within their direct employment. But we always ensure that those are not the things that can affect they can affect the welfare, the morale, or the motivation of the third party staff. For example, if your staff have 1 year, an annual holiday, you have a staff on a certain level that has annual holiday and all expenses paid annual holiday, but you need extra hand for that particular role that resource conducts or carries out in your organization. Now you have taken that person as an outsourced or third-party staff. You are not obliged to give the person annual holiday package because the person is only working for 6 months anyway, or the person is only working for 9 months anyway. I hope that is well understood, because people always think the moment they hear outsourcing, they're like, oh, it's cheating. They want to pay us less than those that are in-house. They want to treat us like slaves. They want to treat us like third-party people. No, it is usually not like that. We should actually view it the right way. It is an indirect of creating more employment for people who may otherwise not actually be employed. You reduce your overhead cost. The staff do not need to resume at your office. They go straight to the project. Their office is the office of the outsourcing company. The outsourcing company provides all the things that they need. And because these are staff that are on the run, it's like flowing water. So you don't need to start buying, you're buying laptops, you're having workstations, you're doing all of that. The outsourcing company has that. And because this is a free flow of human resource, anybody that, any group of staff that come at that particular point in time, they can use any of those resources. It enables you to share resources without necessarily investing afresh in new resources, new tools, new equipment for the outsourced staff. Another benefit of outsourcing is the focus and your ability to reduce your operational risk. So if in my office, we do, whenever we need to do health and safety, of course, it is not my expertise. We don't have anybody here with that expertise. So what do? We outsource it. I'm talking of the check now. So I can go around and see that, oh, this thing is okay, this is okay. And then an HSC person comes there and says, no, this is a hazard. You're not supposed to do it. So if I had said, okay, I'm a consultant, so I know everything, and I don't need to outsource that part of my business, what do? I am putting my staff and your organization at risk. I am making myself open to blunders. I can imagine myself saying that saying we can do fashion design. Maybe we can design outfit like any of the big fashion brands could design. It's a blunder. I will design the thing, I'll cut it really, but the person will have a hell of a time wearing that. So whether we are conscious of it or not, we all outsource. This morning, as I was coming to work, whoever I had used on the way that is not part of my organization, I have outsourced that service to that person. I go to the filling station. I don't own a filling station. I am using their product because it is their expertise to produce that. And I am a beneficiary of it, like many other millions of people. So we need to let outsourcing and consulting come out in the open in the simplest of terms. If I need to eat pork meat today, I do not rear pork meat. I will call a company that I will pork and sides, anything. I say, please, can you supply me pork? And then I have the pork that I need. I don't need to get my hands dirty with whatever it is the pigs are eating. I don't need to do that. I am satisfied having pork. And outsourcing has actually been very beneficial to the country. You now see we have a lot of event managers, we have a lot of decorators, we have makeup artists. All of those are services and products that we use, but we don't do them by ourselves. So it's not only people who are called consultants that are into the business of outsourcing. Everybody in one way or the other are in the business of outsourcing. So another benefit for outsourcing is that, it helps you to get the best of some of your key resources. Like I said before, maybe HR, in HR, outsourcing HR and accounting services seems to be some of the biggest in the country. And I always encourage SMEs. I am extremely, extremely passionate about entrepreneurship. Like I tell SMEs, the easiest and cheapest way to do your thing, to standardize your business and develop structure, is to outsource some of those functions that you know you need. If SMEs will start out and they would think of structure, they would think of standardization upfront, they will seek the professional help that they need. If you need to register a company, I don't need to worry my head. I will call a lawyer. Please register, whether it is okay for you to do it directly online or not. I don't want to be bothered with that. So I call a lawyer. I'm an SME. I want to focus on driving the strategy for my business. If I want recruitment, of course, I call an HR consulting company. I need accounting services. There are accountants. There are chartered accountants everywhere offering audit and all those services, payroll, training, all sorts, call center, customer service, IT services. Those are all aspects of a business, a normal business that would be interested in putting proper structure in place that a business must have. And you cannot, most of the time, you cannot perform all of those functions unless you want to be vertically integrated. And I hardly see companies that are totally vertically integrated. That means you own every aspect of your production or your service. A lot of organizations can't do that. So what do? Call the experts to do it. Now, in calling them to do it, you are promoting the economies of the country where you reside or you do business. You are creating employment. You are ensuring that people go to work every day. People have a sense of focus and a sense of direction. You are providing money. You are contributing to the GDP of Nigeria by creating jobs. Now, I want to briefly talk on the merit and demerit of outsourcing before I round off. Of course, like every other thing, outsourcing, consulting, and all of that, they are not without their merit and demerit. Advantages of outsourcing, like I've outlined before, of course, it saves you cost. It saves you cost because you just want to give it out to somebody who has the expert at negotiating that service. You have the expert at delivering that service. Let me use this very important example, procurement. So at the end of the year, my business wants to give out business gift to our customers. We want to show appreciation. It is not my headache to go to China and start looking for, oh, is this a plaque? Like, okay, inside Business Africa. I'm sure you guys don't create your plaques by yourself. You have outsourced that to a procurement company. That's the best example I can give in this instance. It's not my business to start saying, okay, how do we produce carrier bags or this mug or all of that? Some businesses are in the service of procurement, of corporate gifts. They go to China, they go to Turkey, they go anywhere they want to go to. They source some from Nigeria as well. My own is, give me examples, make me a presentation, give me excellent products, and let me be able to appreciate my customers at the end of the day. Now it saves me cost. Instead of me walking blindly around and trying to do the thing by myself, I don't have the contact that they have in all of those countries where production is easier or production is more common. You avoid government regulations. Imagine if I want to offer legal services or I want to do something, a client of mine needs legal services. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to do legal services. I don't know the constitution guiding providing legal services. And then I go do it. I'm going to get myself into trouble because I don't know the regulations governing that every industry. The regulations that I know are the regulations that govern my industry, but I need services or products from other industries. Like, I don't know the composition of a sachet of beverage. I'm being careful not to mention names so that Inside Business Africa will not come and accuse me of doing advert for people that didn't pay them. A sachet of beverage, I don't know what is inside it. So if I want to tell myself that because I want to do everything, I want to own everything, I don't want to outsource any part of what I need, then I want to produce my own beverage. I may fall into the problem with regulatory authorities. I may fall in the problem of, Foods, Drugs Association, if we have it in Nigeria, consumer rights, SON, NAFDAC, all of that. What do I need that for? When there are people that have been producing beverages all these years, I just buy from them. And then you have improved management and outsourced functions. Your staff are able to focus on what you primarily have hired them to do. And they have left the ones that are not their forte to other people whose forte it is to offer the service or the product that you need. Some of the disadvantages of outsourcing, it requires constant oversight. That is true. because somebody, either you or someone from your organization, must be in touch with the outsourcing company, with the company you have outsourced that service or product to. For example, cleaning. You must have somebody who is in charge within your organization, who is in charge of the cleaners in your office. I can imagine how banks cope, or all those big oil and gas telecoms company, you know, somebody, because you just walking along a corridor and then you see a piece of paper. You can't call all of the cleaners that have been assigned to you. Somebody in your organization is the person that you're going to call and be like, okay, this thing is not good enough. And the person is the one that interfaces with the third-party company and your organization. So you constantly need to do that, you know, to some extent. Security risk, the biggest security risk is that some part of your organization is exposed. Whether it is your accounting, whether it's your HR, whether it's your legal, you know, when you use a consultant, like I made example earlier on, like you need a pastor or an imam, as the case may be. I would use a pastor here. Now, you have issues. You are exposing yourself because you need the pastor's service. You are exposing yourself. You are possibly confessing your sins, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the things that you don't even want your parents to know. You have to tell the pastor. It's a security risk for you because the pastor may take it against you. The same thing with consulting or outsourcing any part of your brand. You are revealing secrets to some extent of your organization. The third party, the outsourcing company, the company you're outsourcing to, would kind of see into your operations. They see the faults. They see where you're good and where you're bad. Of course, they don't have the nerve to do anything about it because they are their clients, but at least there's some level of exposure that may not be there if there was no outsourcing. And then negative public relations impact. Sometimes your third-party service provider, sometimes they do not represent well. I don't know why that would be anyway, because if somebody is my client and I derive a source of livelihood from that client, here in our own organization, what we do is we immediately become partners with that organization, and the success of that organization becomes our success. Now, some of the reasons why outsourcing or consulting fail, I have highlighted the communication gap, losses due to unforeseen and rising costs, poor performance by contractor, unclear objectives of outsourcing, improper transition in outsourcing offshore. Unclear objectives of outsourcing, let me point that out. There must be clear service level agreement in outsourcing. Both parties must outline their roles. This is what I will be doing. This is what you will be doing. And it is a living agreement. It has a life of its own. So it can be amended from time to time when things change. I'm sure that with COVID-19, a lot of business agreements have been changed. A lot of alignment have been unaligned and realigned because they have been misaligned because of COVID-19. Now, losses due to unforeseen and rising costs. I am sure also that with COVID-19 has come inflation. So if a service provider is within that country, that nation, that entity where inflation is rife, like we have currently in Nigeria, I am sure that a lot of service providers are increasing their cost of service currently because they all need to survive as well. Otherwise, they're going to lay off. When they lay off, the economy is worse for it, and the chain goes on. You know, it's such a chain. Communication gap would happen if there are no clear service level agreements, which is very important in outsourcing or in consulting. Both ways, there must be clear communication, clear understanding of the needs and the services to be provided. So the risk in outsourcing are quite few, if you ask me, not because that's just what I do, but because it's the obvious truth. There are quite few. There's nothing that communication cannot mitigate in the risk associated with outsourcing or consulting. In the HR space, I'm not going to talk much about this. You know, if you can see the slides, because I need to round off, why do you outsource? I mean, why do you outsource? Let me say HR, which is my own organization. The several reasons why you should outsource. Maybe you need more people. Like I said, you have come into a country or into a city, and you know that you need more staff than your headcount allows. Maybe you need more people. Have you ascertained that you really need it? If you look at the little chart here, you'll see it. Ask all the relevant questions. Do you really need it? Yes. Are you sure you need the role for more than a year? If, like I said earlier, you need some resources, human resources for 3 months, 2 months, 6 months. You need it for less than a year or so. If you need it for less than a year, please outsource it. Is it a core skill for your business? No. Then you outsource it. Is the work really interesting? No. Because it will not be interesting to you, because it's not going to fetch you as much money as your core business is fetching you. So outsource it. Several reasons why you need to outsource. Can you give an employee the support that they need? No, I cannot give I cannot give the producer of beverage as much support as they need. So what do? I'll go and buy it instead of bringing somebody in to our office to come and start producing beverage. So all of these are reasons why you need to outsource. And it doesn't have to be HR alone. So let's not be as if I'm speaking for our sector. I know there must be HR professionals on this Zoom meeting right now. It can be accounting, can be ICT, can be procurement, can be, what other functions do we have? I mean, a lot. Health. I don't treat myself. I don't know how to treat myself. I'm outsourcing my health to my doctor. That's one that we hardly talk about. I'm outsourcing the education of my children to their school, to their teacher. So you can see that it's not only HR now that people outsource. People just have to know that outsourcing is something that we all do all the time. So outsourcing, you outsource or you hire. You either outsource that service or you produce that service. So you can replace hire with produce, or make it happen yourself. In this balance, I'm talking about HR. You want to outsource the procurement of those individuals, of those human resources, or you want to hire them in-house yourself. Then your headcount is really going to be high, and you're going to have much more people to manage than you may actually have the capacity to manage. Do you have the space for them? Do you have the workstations? Do you have the required office space for them? Do you have the ability to skill them up, to train them, to ensure that you provide all that they need, and ensure that you provide the enabling environment for them to thrive? If you don't, please outsource it. Now, I want to believe that I have been able to, let me say, demystify consulting and outsourcing, and I've been able to explain the importance of outsourcing function in the economy of any state, any country, because we cannot all totally vertically integrate. You cannot be in the production of all your line of service or product that you need. So that is why we have to outsource. I want to thank the organizers of Inside Business Africa for putting together this conference. Normally, I know that it would have been a physical conference that you have, and you have not allowed yourselves to be deterred by COVID-19, but you have gone ahead to defy COVID-19 to have the conference virtually. That is kudos to you. I want to thank everybody that has signed on, that has decided to learn something different from what they knew before, or enhance or remember something that they knew before but have forgotten. I say thank you. Thanks to the Compare, thanks to Mr. Kenneth. I think I have attended one of your physical conferences before, and I have seen your expertise and your prowess. So thank you so much for granting me audience.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Banjo. Always very passionate about this industry and this Nigeria and the economy. Let me say, happy independence anniversary to you. One of the major things that I'm going to be able to highlight from your own conversation now is that the question that will come later from me, if you want to take it down, is the fact that we're talking about branding. And if I'm manufacturing beverages, like you said, and it means that if I'm taking in a short-term, what you will call contract staff, and whether I need to allow them to understand, take them through the training to understand the vision of my brand so that they can communicate it, even though I know they are not full-time staff. Because what is important is the fact that every supply chain that is within the context of my product must understand my vision and where I want to take my brand to. I will come back to you to be able to explain to us how companies should be able to integrate their brands in the employee to be able to speak better of it to the general public, and they can win. I hope that will not be taking too much of your time again, but I will let you to just talk out of the box based on that. Before that, let me just establish that Mazi Samohabua is with us, and then so that he can take this, the second presentation for this event. While you take note of that. But let's while I get Mazi to come and speak, engineers can actually roll a commercial from Mukafum, one of our partners at this very important event. So while I talk to Mazi Samohabua, to be sure he's with us already.
In a country filled with different and unique kinds of people, there's no such thing as one size fits all for everything, especially sleep. That's why there's a Muka specially made for you. The Pepperdem Gang, the Mamas, the Daddies, the Papas, the Zaddies, the baby girls, the fit fam, and the I cannot come and go and kill myself. Whoever you are, there's a Muka for you. So find your Muka today and wake up feeling good and ready to take on the day. Visit www.muka.com.
Yes, I think my engineers can now, because Mazi is going to join us in a few minutes. But there was a question I wanted Mrs. Banjo to talk through while Mazi Samohabu will join us. Mrs. Banjo, if you are listening, what I just wanted you to speak through a clarification to, so to speak, how do we communicate our brand to short-term staff and then to sustain it at that level? Because everyone within the brand's chain must be able to communicate our brands anywhere they go. But most times when you put in outsource the short-term staff, it means that this short-term staff may not see themselves as belonging for the long haul. Therefore, communicating your brand to the outside world may not be as committed as those people in the office. So those people are in full employment. So just 2 minutes while we get Mazi ready to speak. Now, just lend your voice to that. How do we navigate that particular position?
Okay, simply, communication must be viewed from the side of empathy. If you have contract staff, number one, you need to take them through an onboarding process. And you need to let them know that they're not contract staff because they are second-class citizens, or because they're not graduates, or because they're not educated enough to be able to hold those positions. You need to let them know that they are contract staff because they are needed. The skills that they have, they are needed for a particular organization at a certain point in time. And then there must be onboarding where they are made to buy into the culture of the organization. And also there must be agreement. You would not agree that this is what you are going to do. I've given you our employee handbook. I've given you our service level agreement for the period of your project or your contract with us, and then you go out to go represent the company put the company in bad light, then the company is free to litigate. But there must be those service level agreements. But litigation should not even come to mind at all. If emotional intelligence comes to play, when we welcome our contract staff, we let them know that they are a part of our organization. They're a part of Westfield, just like any in-house staff. We give them the onboarding here, and we also help our client to give them the onboarding of the organization, because that's where they're going to be working. They must represent the organization correctly. So those things are important. Those are all the levels of communication that must take place so that a new employee, whether contract or full staff, buys fully into the visions and the objectives of the organization, both the one that outsourced them and the one that they have been outsourced to.
Now, the second leg of this is the fact that, okay, we've done that. We've tried to do the abundance of, getting the people to understand how our brands should move in the market. In terms of sustenance of the oxygenation of brands in the market, how do you gauge those things using a consulting firm to do that for you? What services will you be able to render? In other words, how my brand is performing in terms of research.
Okay. Let me get your question well. You're asking me,
for instance, we're talking about the performance of brands in the market. Okay. Can I outsource the understanding of how the market react to my brands to a consulting firm, or is it better for me to use someone in-house?
Well, it's better for you to outsource to a consulting firm, while somebody in-house, like I said in one of my slides, provides oversight to the outsourcing client. I don't know if you can hear me. You're better off outsourcing your marketing function to marketing experts, while somebody in-house holds the task of giving oversight to the client, to the company that you have outsourced to. Maybe somebody in your customer relationship management, somebody in your customer service, somebody in your marketing department.
Okay, and now see, because the reason I'm having this conversation is because, you see, we're talking about brand here. And most times the research into the development of brands and also into market penetration and market dynamics and the rest is usually outsourced to, consultants like you, because if I'm developing a new brand or a new product, the first thing I want to do is to look at consultants like you and to say, look, let me find out the market dynamics. But we'll come back to you because your performance and your operations in this whole dynamics is so key, because most times researchers like your firm must be able to come with facts that I can use to be able to develop and move my new products. Just like the vaccine that's been developed all over the world now, before the vaccine even get to the market, somebody must be able to go and find out how many people can buy it and what is the market value before I can start fixing even my pricing. So we'll still come back to you, but let me go straight to talk to have Mazi Samohabuwan to speak through this particular topic. I understand that he's with us already. Mazi Samohabuwan, thank you very much. We apologize for pulling you out of your busy time, but I just believe that somehow you are the most experienced and the most qualified to lend your voice into this particular conversation. Mazi, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, or is it good afternoon now? It's early afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. I thank you for the opportunity to be on this program this day. I believe that we're speaking about a very important subject, which is about brands, branding, and market presence. For me, the difference I have often said between many successful Nigerian companies and those who have not been successful or are successful, and the general, the major difference from my perspective, it's in branding. Many Nigerian companies have not quite come to the full understanding of what branding is all about. Branding is the essence of creating a space in the mind of the consumer. Brand is like defining the personality of a human being, personality of a product or service or a company. So very often we do not quite understand that we operate in a very competitive milieu where there are many brands and many offerings by different suppliers of service and creators of value and those who feel needs. The competition is very, 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 very high in most parts of the market. especially when you're in a kind of economy that we have, which is a laissez-faire economy, a deregulated economy, there is competition. And so very often, companies do not quite, especially those that belong to the small and medium scale enterprises, do not quite come to understand this. So I'm glad that it's being spoken about, because very often people think that branding is just the same thing as advertising. No, or is it the same thing as promotion? Not exactly. Even though advertising and promotion can help you to improve on the establishment of this personality of the brand, but it is more than that. Branding involves the total personality of the product or the service. It involves everything that product represents. It involves what that direction, character that the brand portrays. It's a totality. The way you see a human being, and you can associate some positive attributes or positive behavior or negative behavior, negative attributes to a human being. So also you can also, the same for brands. The brands carry image, they speak about character, they speak about attributes, they speak about values, and they speak about what they stand for beyond just meeting the label claim. A brand does more than just meet label claim or give the advertised reason why you're buying the product. And that's why people are willing to identify with brands. People wear shirts carrying the names of successful athletics. They do not carry those shirts because they do not wear those shirts because there is an immediate value that is creating for them. But it's association. It's an identification that they would like to be like this person, that they subscribe to the values and ethos of this character. So that means that when you have a brand, you must try and make sure you protect that brand integrity, both the brand equity, the brand image, and the brand perception. Because sometimes you may create a brand in your mind, but that's not what is being reflected in the mind of the consumer. For us, the mind of the consumer is the more important place to be sure that your brand, that there is a brand synchrony, that your perception is not different from the brand image. The brand image is not different from the perception, and that you therefore be able to build a brand equity that you can translate into commercial success. So from the clothes that the brand wears, from the mode of transportation for the brand, to the mode of sleep for the brand, you must be constantly aware that it must project a consistent image, and that will create the emotional attachment to the consumer and maintain the appeal to the consumer. So the kind of clothes you wear, the brand, the kind of colors the brand appears in, the kind of places you allow the brands to stand. There are places some brands cannot go to. Certain events they can't go to, because when they go to those events, it will define them, either change their image or bring them to a different status. So there should be a consistency. The company the brand keeps, the environment the brand appears in, and the way it wakes up and sleeps are important. The brand is like a human being, but not just an ordinary human being, a human being who wants an identity in the marketplace. Let's say, today you have human beings who are brands, so also our products and services. So my advice to everybody listening to me is to ensure that we understand that the brand is the critical thing that causes sustainability of demand. And because without demand for a product or service, there's no commercial benefit. So to maintain brand loyalty, we must be sure that that brand maintains its integrity. So to have loyalty, you must have integrity. The brand cannot make a promise and do not fail to fulfill that promise. That is a shortest way to destroy the brand. The brand cannot make claims and does not fulfill those claims or live up to those claims. So we need to look at brands in more comprehensive. The way you like to nurse your child or nurse your baby is the way you should manage your brand, and ensure that everything about the brand is in concept and completely in alignment with what you want to portray the brand for. And to be able to do this consistently, you need to be sure you are in the marketplace and engaging the consumer. You continuously get a feedback as to his perception, as to say, is this brand fulfilling the claim? Is it meeting his brand claims? Is it meeting it? So a constant discussion with the consumer will help you to continuously place your brand in a manner that will achieve your objective, and therefore remove any misalignment between the brand image and the brand perception. Because the more equity you can build to the brand, for the brand, the more business you can make, the more business you can get, the more sales you can achieve. And so this is what I like to add at this time, that brands should be treated like human beings, and you nurture them from infancy to old age, from as they say, from the cradle to the grave. And at each point, the brand requires a different kind of food, a different kind of treatment, a different kind of handling as it ages. And you know that at a particular time, you continue to ensure that as the brand matures, you refresh it, you reinvent it, and someday you can replace it, because certainly nothing that lasts forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate this very, short, because you've said it, which is very, very key. Brands should be treated as human beings. The way you want to grow, to be recognized and be integrity driven, and people believe in you. In this country, over time, some of us grew up to hear about Ventis. We grew up to hear about Pfizer. We grew up to hear about Bonsing Group. These are brands that were around. Now, today we have the Dangote Group. Now, in terms of brand growth and the emancipation of brands globally, Guinness today is still, the Guinness of over 100 years old. I would like you to lend your voice to just a very short thing. I know you're very busy, but let's do a case study here, sir. About 2 minutes. Now, when the buyover from Pfizer was being done to Nimet, and for Nimet to be able to have an identity that we now know that Nimet, when you say it, we know it's Nimet, without necessarily, feeling that, okay, we've dropped the toga of Pfizer, because there was a period that it was using formerly Pfizer, something like that. But now it has to stand on its own. When do you disengage with your principal?
Yeah, I believe that when we did the transformation or the management buyout, our catchphrase was to say that Nimet was Pfizer plus. That was our byline. Nimet was Pfizer plus, which is to say, we gave the image that actually Nimet was an improvement over Pfizer. And first, so we had to put that in the minds of our consumers. We might put in the minds of our consumers to be sure that we're not going to offer them less than Pfizer offered them. That Pfizer offered them great brands. Pfizer offered them great products that met their label claims, that were efficacious, that were safe, and that were affordable. We now said Nimet was Pfizer plus, and we gave the reason where were there new things that they could get more than we gave them when we were Pfizer. and that helped to sustain, because there were issues becoming a local companies of a multinational companies, and we're no longer paying royalties and some of those things. It became clear that we could afford to pay our shareholders more money. We could be more competitive in pricing and cost. We're going to employ more local people to participate. We're going to be involved a lot more in local research and development. So those are the plus. We maintained quality, we maintained efficacy, but then we added additional things. So we sustained that. Otherwise, there was going to be this thinking that it's now a local company. It may not be able to continue to sustain what we're able to afford as Pfizer. So consistency of message, and also ensuring that you are not deceiving the public, because sometimes people think branding is propaganda. It's not propaganda. Branding cannot, if you go into propaganda, you fail. They're not like all propagandists. Branding must be built on integrity, as I said. So you must say the correct things. But the point is that you must constantly present it to the public. Don't assume they learned yesterday. Be consistent in providing the subject. So that's it.
Thank you very much. And let me just, now that in the spirit of Nigeria at 60, we do understand that I will talk about this in the context of reputation management. Over time, Nigeria passports, or we Nigeria, when we travel abroad, the moment you hear Nigeria and all of that. Now, Nigeria is 60 years old now. And now that means that at 60 people start retiring from different organizations. So now, what do we need to do to oxygenate the Nigeria as a brand globally? Maybe this message will be, carried along in Inside Business Africa and also on our media. In terms of Nigeria as a brand, I do remember that the late she came up with a branding concept. Good people, good nation, a great nation, what have you, because she believed that Nigeria needed to be spoken about. Now, as we celebrate this 60th independence anniversary,
I surely need my
Nigeria as a brand.
Throughout the years, I have trusted Muka. My own parents slept on Muka.
Nigeria as a brand
sleeping on Muka's mattress.
a resetting, a reformatting. And if you even ask me, we need to recreate a brand. I have a group called the New Nigeria Group, and I have a book called Time for the Evolution of a New Nation. We need to evolve a new nation, because I can keep telling you, branding is not propaganda. A brand must be true to its claims and be able to show that it completely portrays what it wants to be seen at. Nigeria has failed Nigerians. And when a nation has failed its citizens, I don't know what kind of image you want to create for outsiders. Today we have problem. Life is insecure in Nigeria. We have issues that we didn't know Nigeria could be facing at this time. All over the country, there's insecurity, banditry, terrorism all over the country. How kind of image are you going to be creating? And you say Nigeria is a heaven. The next day you have a newscast saying that people are being kidnapped, people are being killed in the states, even in the state of the head of state, Katsina State. A large swath of the land is inhabited by terrorists, and our army and our forces cannot deal with this. It is embarrassing to the nation. And so no matter what you say, you will be failing. Secondly, we don't treat our nationals well. There's a high level of unemployment, very high level of poverty, very high level of poverty. So what will you be telling people outside about Nigeria? So we need to get our act first. We need to reset our nation, evolve a nation, reformat our country, cause unity of purpose, bring brotherly love to reign, take away as much as possible, lift this nation from poverty, and bring harmony. The country is disunited. People are feeling insecure. Some people are feeling they are not part of the nation. Some people are feeling all kinds of emotions about this nation. I think that before you go to sell a brand, you must make sure you get your product right. We need to get Nigeria right. That is the job facing Nigerians now. Nobody's coming to do it for us. We have to roll up our sleeves and determine that we need to get this country well. And it's everybody's job. It's not just the current leader's job. So I want to focus on branding Nigeria, first of all, by reformatting, rekitting, reinventing the product called Nigeria. When we have done that, then we can focus on the branding, the image. So we haven't gotten the product right, and every effort to brand it is propaganda.
Thank you very much, sir. Finally, generally speaking, in the pharmaceutical sector, we have Pfizer, Mopsin, we have Emzor that has come up as, you know, the greater brands that made this list of this branding. Now, how do we protect the homegrown brand, especially in the pharmaceutical sector where you operate, and also from regulatory perspective, sir?
Well, the critical thing is that I believe that these brands you've mentioned have grown organically. They started as small companies, and they have grown by consistent aggregation of resources, consistent production of products that of value, that have met market expectations, and they have lived up to their claim. And they've been aggressive in acquiring muscles, in growing their capacities, and growing the space they occupy in the marketplace, increasing visibility, in investing in marketing and branding. So they have come some long way, and that's why they are more sustainable. Sometimes you find people jump up overnight, some products come up, some ideas come overnight, and they just go high and fall. But I think that these brands have come, and that they have built strength and market visibility by a combination of factors. Despite the challenges in the economy, despite the challenges in industry, it has taken doggedness and, more importantly, visionary leadership, because it's only the leadership that sees the vision, that sees the future, that can make investments in Nigeria despite the uncertainty. But when he now sees that somewhere in the future this uncertainty will become certainty, he can put investment. Fixing Emzor and some of these companies you've spoken about, Pfizer and the rest of them, they have seen the future, and they have the appropriate leadership that has pushed their companies through both organic and recruitment of external aid and resources to attain their goals. I want to thank you, because I have to sign off from at this point now.
Okay, sir.
To go back to where you I disrupted from.
I do understand. I do understand, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. So here you have it. Let me go back to Mrs. Banjo. I don't know if she's listening. There was a question I asked Mrs. Banjo to let her voice into, and if you want to make comments, please, this is the time for you to raise up your hand, because in the next couple of minutes, we are going to just unveil this 60 Nigerian brand celebrating Nigeria at 60. I mean, Mrs. Banjo, you've had Mazi Samo Hambua. I know you were listening. Now, he has just told us something about branding. You know, Nigeria needs to start almost like, let's rejig even the name itself. All right. As a researcher and as a consultant, I would like you to lend your voice to the issue of rebranding Nigeria as a nation, so that this perception, in terms of reputation management, I know you are also an expert in that. In terms of reputation management, can you lend your voice to this particular narrative?
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. That is a very big question when it comes to Nigeria, and there's no end, or you don't even know where to begin from. The brand Nigeria has to be critically looked into, and I think it has to start from each individual and each family. Then it spreads to religious communities and to local communities. Rebranding Nigeria, like Mazi said, was something that the late Dr. Dora Akinyili started, and I was absolutely fascinated by it. I wish we had maintained that trajectory. I wish that that dream, that vision didn't die. I wish that we had not become so cynical, because an average Nigerian is cynical. Even before outsiders reject us, we have rejected ourselves. I wish we hadn't gone that way, that we can actually believe in the brand. Now, if you're going to sell a brand to anybody, I think that leadership counts. I am the one who consistently tells the staff of Westfield Consulting how Westfield should be represented. I don't just say it once. I communicate and recommunicate it. And I live in such a way that would help them buy into what I am telling them. You don't have a leader saying one thing and doing another thing, leaders across sectors, and then you expect that the followers or the citizens will buy into that brand. That is a brand that has already started to fail. A pastor would tell me, don't steal. And several such things can be traceable to that pastor. The pastor is not representing his brand. So I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be an easy thing to brand Nigeria. I share Maz's sentiment. I share his disillusionment. I am disillusioned myself. And it's not going to be a task to begin the concept, the idea of rebranding this country. But everything rises and falls on leadership. While the followership has a lot to do about it, if you have been entrusted with leadership, if the citizens, if millions of people have decided that, okay, we think that you can do the job of charting our forward course, then I think they should just do it across sectors. You won't expect that some people should be humble, they should be content, and the people we are following are living lascivious lives. It doesn't happen. So branding has to start from those who conceive the vision for that brand. Now the question is, who conceived the vision of Nigeria? What did they plan that Nigeria would become? What is the template by which we are running Nigeria? Our 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, up to 60 years. I can imagine if my sister at 60 years is still as wobbly as Nigeria, I will not be proud of her. So sincerely, like I said, you asked me a tough question. I do not have a clear-cut answer on how we can begin to rebrand Nigeria. So you are the branding company, Mr. Kenneth, Inside Business Africa. They are the marketing and branding company. I would have to get back to you so that we can lean on your support. You should direct us, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think let's quickly roll this commercial for Muka Foam Limited, makers of a very highly resourceful and highly appreciated Muka Foam brand. Then we'll come back in just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. We will now be able to say these are the brand. And let me also say that very importantly, the branding report is ready. And we have 60 brands measured from different perspectives in terms of their presentation, the market appeal, and the segmentation, and what have you. So that report is ready, and the PDF of it will be shared. And also, we will also be in the position to, you can actually ask for a copy of the brand report that has been unveiled, marking Nigeria at 60. But however, we are going to just take 1 minute commercial break and come back, and then Mrs. Banjo will wrap up on her conversation on outsourcing.
In a country filled with different and unique kinds of people, there's no such thing as one size fits all for everything, especially sleep. That's why there's a mocha specially made for you. The Pepperdem Gang, the Mamas, the Daddies, the Papas, the Zaddies, the baby girls, the fit fam, and the I cannot come and go and kill myself. Whoever you are, there's a mocha for you. So find your mocha today and wake up feeling good and ready to take on the day. Visit www.muka.com.
I think we can now go straight to the unveiling of the 60 brands. If our engineers could just project that on screen, we can unveil the 60 brands that made it to the top 60. Yes, here you have it. The banner you are seeing on screen right now are the 60 brands, 60 Nigerian super brands, 60 Nigerian super brands that made it into this anniversary edition. It took about a month to be able to do this, even more than 2 months, and our team have been on the road doing a lot of research to be able to come up with this very important conversation, and also the brand that we are unveiling. We have from Muka Limited actually started back before the Nigeria's independence anniversary was established. Muka Limited established in 1959. Now we have Dangote Group. So you have Agrited. Agrited is in the area of poultry industry. Agrited is one of the major players. As a matter of fact, it's the biggest and the preferred brand in the poultry business in Nigeria. And like I've mentioned Indorama, we have Dulux. Dulux has metamorphosed into so many things in terms of what we may call earlier on. Dulux CAPPLC used to be a standalone company, but it has gone through a lot of buyover. Now it's under the USA group. Dulux is a product of CAPPLC. Fitsin Healthcare. Fitsin Healthcare started several years ago with Mr. Fidelis, and today Fitsin Healthcare is a household name in Nigeria. Now we go to Fidan Investment, the accessory, phone accessories, and these are the organization that is doing extremely very well. We also have Kappa Diabato. Kappa Diabato is the biggest, one of the biggest in the really in the areas of construction and the rest. They are on the same line with Julius Berger and the rest. UBA from the banking sector, First Bank from the banking sector, Zatec also from the conglomerate, Julius Berger, I mentioned it earlier. Fermat is, we have to have MTN, image structure. If you're familiar with the Millennium Tower in Victoria Land, Duri Construction is actually one of the biggest and most important operators in the construction industry. FCMB, First City Monument Bank. First City Monument Bank. We also have Access Bank, GT Bank, Zenith Bank. And these are coming in from the banking sector, and very, very important operations indeed. Nigeria LNG Limited, we also have that particular organization form, Winco form. We also have G and manufacturing. So you have custodian. I've mentioned Leadway Assurance PLC. I've mentioned one, and I also mentioned custodian, and also Cornerstone Insurance. Cornerstone from the insurance subsector. We also have from here Mutual Benefit as the conglomerate. They have insurance, they have pension, quite a number. We also have Mansard from the insurance subsector, African Alliance from the insurance subsector, and also from the conglomerate and manufacturing FMCG, we have Nestle. We also understand that Nestle also made the list. We have Sona Group of Industry conglomerate very sector of the nation's economy. So, and it's very important for us to understand that Sonar Group of Industry made the list as well. So we also have Swiffer from the pharmaceutical sector. Swiffer is also made the list from the pharmaceuticals. Mopsin also made the list. So, Emzo, you can hear that Mazi Samuhabu has spoken about this, and he also mentioned the fact that these organizations that actually grew exponentially in GSK. GSK is also from SMCG, and also we have Indomie. Indomie is from Dufif Limited. We have Four Corner Innovation and Construction. This is a very important specialized construction firm, and it's still waxing strong. And the brand is known. When you know something about M&B, if you remember, some of us grew up to understand what to call M&B, which was a tablet for like paracetamol, and M&B to us, how they were able to disengage themselves from the name Pfizer to be able to be standing as Nimet Pharmaceuticals International. Lasaco, finally, for probably one of the product of Guinness Nigeria PLC. So there you have it, 60 Nigeria super brands. 60 Nigeria super brands. Inside Business Africa presents 60 Nigeria super brands. And that's what you have there. And I want to thank you very much for actually all our team that put this together. Let me go back to the presentation, okay? So let me go up to Mrs. Banjo. Mrs. Banjo, I hope she's still with us. Yes, we have some of the, to show you all of it. And my IT guy, please, can you just put the awards on screen now? Let them scroll one after the other, please. So there you have some of the, this is the award I will be presenting to the companies that have made it. I mean, we won't bore you by showing you all of it, but we'll just show you some sample of about 8 of it for you to argue that these awards and the certificates of super brands will be presented to the companies. This is Agrited, all right, and this is Muka Limited, Corner Innovation and Construction Limited, Fidan Investment Limited, that's the next one for the telephone access, the mobile phone accessory. Fidan Investments, FIMAT International, that is the certificate, and there you will see the award itself that will be presented. We want to congratulate all these organizations. There you have it, Fidan Investment. This is the award itself, Muka Limited. You have Image Link West Africa Limited. And you have FIMAT International Services Limited. All right. On screen, as we Itera Technologies Limited, from Dangote to Boa Group to Nimet International, all of them are getting the certificates of super brands. All right. But we are only able to show you just a few so that we can save time. We are so delighted that even Mrs. Banjo is able to stay with us on through the period. Let me just go straight to her now, Mrs. Banjo, to speak through to what you have seen, at this time. Your assessment of some of these brands. You can pick 1, 2, 3 of them to say what you know and what you feel about them.
Okay, thank you. First, I have a tiny bone to pick with you. Are you trying to say that there's no consulting company in Nigeria that is a super brand? My industry is not.
No, there are. You see,
no consulting company made the 60 super brands. Okay, so we'll start that one later.
Well, there are. Okay.
We'll start that one later. Okay, yes. From what I have seen, I think you have done extensive work, and saying something is a brand. I mean, super brand, not an evolving brand, not something that's just, So saying something is a super brand, I think most of the organizations that I see on your screen, they actually have merited it because they are household names. A lot of them are household names solving daily problems and daily needs of Nigerians and even West Africa and beyond. So I think you guys have made a very wonderful, Inside Business Africa, has made a very good selection of companies, because most of them can be attested to. And I hardly, there are a lot of company organizations here that I do not think an average Nigerian doesn't use in a day, you know. So I think most of them are clearly worthy to be identified as super brands, and we need to celebrate our own, even though some of them are multinationals, but at least they do business in Nigeria, and they're adding to the growth of our GDP and creating employment, which is very important. So, well done in your selection.
Thank you very much. Now we have come to the end of this particular conversation. Let me say a very big thank you to all our partners. Like she has said earlier on, this would have been something that we would have done at Sheraton hotels, do a lot of beer, lunch, and what have you. But the new normal has brought us to where we are, and we have to continue to forge ahead. However, we are glad that the economy is beginning to open up. It's been tough to be able to get 60 top brands and nominations and all of that. But then we needed to commit in terms of what delivery, value creation, and also market penetration and market development for us to get to this. And I can assure you that, madam, we have quite a number of consulting firms that are doing very, very well. Most times, like you know, people appreciate the importance of consulting firms most times, but we are the back end of every event that happens. You know, so that's just the way it is. Let me say a very resourceful time together. Let me say a very big thank you to Madam Ohabuwa for actually lending his voice. I learned a lot of things from his conversation. And he said that brands should be treated like him. How do you want to be seen outside there? All right. And if you want to be seen as someone with integrity, with drive, then brands should also project the same kind of trait. I think that is a very important message to go on. And then he also talked about Nigeria in the mood of the celebration, to say Nigeria need a total rebranding so that we can actually come back home and give it in. Well, it doesn't mean you must change the name of something to rebrand it. You can have the same name, things that make that brand possible, and retool or rebuild some of those kind of variables. I think that's what he was saying. For me, it's been enough to know what's on a day worth spending time with. And for 2 hours, I've enjoyed myself. And I've also been able to tell you what Inside Business stands. And we will always make all the best to do the right, to do the right thing and to unveil the best in this country. Let me take the last word from you, man, as we close this particular event.
All right. I just want to thank Inside Business Africa again, and to also going by the theme of the event today, the super brands, I just want to encourage everyone that has signed on, or everyone that will listen to your recording later, to be conscious of the Nigerian brand. If each of us is conscious of our individual brands, then we have a collective set of people in the millions that would have been conscious of their brand, thereby being conscious of the Nigerian brand. We have to start rebuilding Nigeria at some point. We need to promote the economies of Nigeria. We need to promote entrepreneurship in Nigeria. So we each need to be aware that we are brands on our own, and collectively we make up the Nigerian brand. So let's be conscious of that so that we can do right all the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's also be ready to take corrections and change where necessary. That's what Nigeria needs now. Congratulations to all of us as we mark this year's 60th independence anniversary. Next year we'll do it again, and definitely we'll come up with something that's more robust than what it is today. We are always, you know, in touch with change, and there can always be an improvement in whatever endeavors that we have. For us, It's been a very successful and very important time, and a wonderful afternoon that we've ended this particular conversation. Thank you very much. My name is Kenneth Odishola Stevenson. Thank you again for watching. And for me, let me also inform you that by Monday, Inside Business Africa, the broadcast edition of this is going to show this particular presentation on TV. So watch out for that by Monday at 8 p.m. So this particular conversation will be shared on television, on DSTV, and time and 8 p.m. all right on Monday, but we'll give you the details as we proceed. And also don't forget, the presentation of this award will be done to the individual companies. And we want to thank you very much for this, and also congratulations to all of us. Have a good day.